says that the stuff they got in HAARP, man, they could look inside the earth, see what's moving in there, and the weather, the way it's going on right now, man, it's really freaky. It's like I'm caught in between two worlds. I'm thinking this is God, sending, the birth pains, or this is the global elites with the technology doing their thing and just creating, chaos. Just let's whack China now and let's just, create a little chaos over there, and with the HAARP technology or whatever technology they got, the satellites or whatever, they just beam, the electromagnetic frequency, shake the ground, and we get that. So I'm between those two worlds right now. I'm just trying to figure out, if it's us doing this, trying to, make this thing, one world order government kind of thing, or this is God. Because I used to believe, guys, I'll be honest with you, every time I only believed that God controlled the weather. I couldn't believe that, we had the technology to manipulate tornadoes, steer them, control them. And after I started doing that research, and, because I've always encountered people be like, nah, man, they don't have that technology to do that. God is in control of the weather, and that's it. But listening to Dr. Nick Bigich, Scott Stevens, Jeffrey E. Smith, he has a book out on weather warfare and the technology that DARPA has and the Air Force by 2025 or 2020, whatever, I can't remember the exact year, they want to have dominant control of the weather. Like, they want to own it completely. So it just makes you wonder, man, if, we only know things just because, certain people leak stuff and some people write books on it. And these people, don't have the mentality of God or Christ or, biblical perspective. But I get all this information, and I'm just trying to, connect the puzzles like Frank does when he does his, his newscast. And it's all fishy, man. It's all fishy. That cyclone, China. We had a earthquake up here, I think was Illinois or something like that. I felt it down here in Nashville, guys. I've never felt an earthquake in my life, and I've been to different countries where there are earthquakes, and they've hit earthquakes, but I've never felt it. The one that hit over here in the United States, that one I felt. And that was like a 5.9. I can't remember the exact. It's just so much stuff is just going on right now. I'm just losing track of stuff, but I felt that. I felt the door shake in my room. That was like, man, I thought it was like a demonic manifestation. It's like, oh, they're coming to get me now. It's on. It's warfare. I'm ready for you guys. But I was like, man, I turned on the light, and then I turned on the TV, and I started looking. Yeah, man, it's crazy out here, guys. I'm serious. And I looked it up on the internet, and all of a sudden I found out that there was an earthquake, and I was like, man. And then, dude, like, all the volcanoes are erupting. Like, what's going on? Chile, a volcano that hasn't erupted in 9,000 years or 2,000 years or whatever, now is going off? I mean, what do you guys think about all this stuff? You think this is, like, manipulated, or you think it's like supernatural or something?
Frank?
I think it's both. I think you're right. I think, you can sit there and go back and forth. Is it man-made? Is it God? Is it God working through man? I think it's probably God working through man, and it wouldn't shock me at all if just when they think they've got this crap perfected, they just screw something up. I mean, you can only do so much, I would assume, with nature before you really do start causing serious problems that you can't rectify. And, again, speculation on my part, but I can really see them doing something and it just really going haywire and causing problems that were never meant to occur. But I think that we are going through changes that are very much manipulated by people.
Yeah, and let me ask you a question. I mean, Ziggy, you asked, is it God in control, or is it man doing this? And is it wrong to believe that God, will allow, those certain groups of people to develop this ability and bring these judgments down upon the earth upon themselves? I mean, saying that, hey, this is still within the hand of God, but God's allowing man to bring it upon himself, and in that the judgments that we read about in Scripture are being fulfilled.
I hear you, Mark. I was just thinking right now that I know that I can't remember the verse, and I think it's in the book of Revelation where God says that he's going to get those that destroyed or kind of like messed up the earth. And there's something in the book of Revelation where it says that the dragon try to get like Israel and try to like flood her with water. Like I don't know if it's like the dragon kind of like, was spitting out water or whatever. Yeah. But something like kind of like cornering Israel. Yeah, like kind of like cornering Israel like in the mountains and kind of like trying to flood her. But then, it says that God kind of like, allowed the earth to like, I guess, open its cracks or whatever and let the water, so the water, the earth could swallow the water. I was just thinking, man, I wonder if, with the technology or whatever, when all this stuff happens in the future, that they try to corner Israel, up there in the mountain, and like they did like at the Ho Chi Minh trails, I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but they try to, that's when they were really experimenting with all this stuff. I wonder if they're trying to like, I wonder if they're trying to like, in the future, try to corner Israel, the Jews, and try to like flood them and try to drown them, and God, being that that's his people, opens the cracks in the earth and just lets all that water come down and still protects them. I was just speculating there, but that came across my mind when I read that.
Yeah, I just got chills when you said that, man. That's something I never thought of, and that's a heck of an observation.
Oh yeah, agreed.
I don't know what everybody else thinks about it.
Yeah, totally. I think I'll catch you most on that. I got to listen back to it, but basically, I never understood that part, and where the flood and the opening up the cracks, as you said. I don't know. I never had anything for that. So.
Yeah, that's my research mentality. I don't narrow it down. I try to keep like an open mind, and I just kind of visualize it. The dragon, Satan. Well, I don't know. I can't see a dragon, flying in the air, spitting water, but I could picture the beast using the technology, and you could see it with with the manipulation and all that stuff. That the Antichrist, the beast, whatever. Once that we get to that stage in the timeline of God where Israel runs and flees to the mountains, and and the beast wants to annihilate her. So let's with the technology, because I know the technology has been given from the beast. Lucifer, Satan, is giving all these guys up in Area 51 all of this technology and all this stuff. So these guys are just experimenting it and just getting it better until they got it really good, and they could just do whatever they want with it. And then try to flood Israel, and but we serve an awesome God, because look what God does. He just opens the earth and swallows all the water.
It's kind of interesting. Barry Chalmers wrote an article the other day talking about how Israel. I mean, it's always been a trouble getting water to Israel, and they have almost run out of water, and the way that it gets there, and it's just a really weird situation because it was all basically set up to happen. It was like, in a lot of ways, it seems like the beast system has taken over a lot of. I mean, as you guys probably wouldn't, it could seem obvious in some cases, have taken over the leadership of Israel and really are trying to kill religious Jews and trying to, they're at war. This kind of, I would call fake Jews, the Sabbatean Jews, which really believe the opposite of the Torah as an article of faith. Are really in control and are trying to kill Jews. And Barry Chalmers, who is an extremely good researcher, but not a religious Jew, and certainly doesn't know anything about Christianity, but he knows a lot about these Sabbateans, and he knows their history and what they're doing and everything else. And he lives here now in Florida because he's very convinced that Israel is going to be totally destroyed. There's no option except for just the destruction of it because of all the missiles that are aimed at it and the inability to logically defend itself against the missile war and all this stuff. And I keep thinking, it's like his theory. It's very, very complicated. You have to understand a lot of things about the two different types of Zionism, labor Zionism, and the good and the bad, let's say. And anyway. Long story short, I think it's interesting because they have set up Israel. I think they really do think they're trying to get all the Jews to come to Israel so that they can destroy them all at once. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, come back, everything's cool, so they can take them out. Yet the divine intervention, I believe, will be God doing what Barry Chumish doesn't expect, and all those missiles somehow they get spared, but it doesn't look good, as he would point out.
Good point. I think, Frank, you touched on that a little bit today too, or yesterday, whatever, in your last podcast. That the Israel that we think of isn't necessarily the Israel we know it to be, or something along that line. I'm sure I didn't say it quite right.
Well, the government, I do think that a good deal of the people are. I think the people are God's people, and I have no problem believing that. But you get the flag with I forget how many points are on it, but 5 and 6 pointed stars are based in the occult and demonology and stuff. And you've got, you just look at Olmert with his investigation going on now into his corruption and stuff. Americans, we're getting to the point now where we know we can't afford to continue to just blindly support Israel, and people are going to be looking for, and I got into this, I think, before you got here with the Zionist stuff, but it's going to get to the point where we're going to see, and this is, again, my opinion, we're going to see that the people that have been behind a lot of killing and a lot of really bad stuff in this world are the people that have felt the need to bring about God's kingdom on earth. And it's going to be that they were felt justified in doing what they've done in order to bring about God's kingdom, because they have to do it. And I think that you're going to have just a lot of disgust and a lot of hatred for Christians, and you're going to have a lot of hatred for the Jews, because people are not going to understand that not everyone is a Zionist. Not everyone feels that need and is willing to go to the umpteenth degree in order to bring about God's kingdom on earth.
Yeah, but it's true, but it's like every time I look at that issue, it's like in order to really get a handle on it, which I don't have a handle on it, just a brief, just trying getting the tip of the iceberg has made me realize that the iceberg is extremely, big, and it really is a total war. Against a people by the same people. It's exactly like America, and George Bush is probably Mr. New World Order and represents nothing of Americans except for those that have totally been duped by the media. In the same way, I'm sure a good deal of people look at this country and say, those Americans are just all horrible Christians that are trying to impose their Christianity on the rest of the world and everything else. But it's exactly the same thing with the Judaism thing, I'm sure. But exactly the same thing, except just a touch worse because of it's like a bloodthirst for one kind of for this killing of Jew, like religious Jews, like the people that really are religious and practice and try to practice it as much as possible. They're being killed off, while the ones that, I don't know. Of course, I'm rambling now, but I think you see where I'm going.
Let's look at the leadership. Can you justify? If you're a Jew, can you justify Olmert handing over control of the temple and splitting Jerusalem up? It's a miracle that they got back there. They all view it as a miracle that they've returned to their land, and now they're going to have an official take that land and hand it over. Clearly there are people, and, it's the same in all politics. They pretend to be religious, whatever religion, needs to fit the puzzle for whatever country they're in. But, he's not acting as an Old Testament, a Torah-believing Jew. He's acting just like the New World Order shill that he is, and he's, I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but, when I say like Zionist, whatever, I'm talking about a very specific group of people that are out there, and they are not serving Judaism. They're not serving God. They're serving, in essence, like the New World Order. The same as George Bush is a Christian, and he's really a Christian. You know what I'm saying? It's not
right.
that these Jews are bad people. It's that these people are betraying the true, the true Israel. in